Just a couple housekeeping items before we get started. First, if you're in the room, if you could please silence or turn off your cell phones out of respect for the speaker, that'd be great. Also, we're using Poll Everywhere to take questions all throughout the talk and at the end. So if you text IST Startup and then space button and then 22, or text IST Startup and your question to 22333. You can do that, or you can, if you're in the room, obviously just raise your hand. And we're also using the hashtag IST Startup. So feel free to post any pictures to our Flickr or our Instagram. Also, if you're in the room, we're going to be taking pictures and some video. So if you don't feel comfortable with that, if you could move to the back of the room and let me know afterwards, and we can make sure you're not in any of the shots. And that's all from me, so I'm going to have Mary Beth introduce our speaker.
All right, so this is my great pleasure to introduce our corporate keynote today, Dustin Bomar. He's from Hilton Worldwide. He's a vice president of digital acquisition and brand marketing, the company's global leader for digital customer acquisition activities, including search engine marketing. You might know it as SEM, search engine optimization, SEO, display advertising, and online media relationships for the Hilton Worldwide portfolio of brands. Mr. Bomar joined Hilton Worldwide in October 2009 and brings extensive experience to his role at Hilton. Most recently, he served as the Director of Online Marketing for Travelocity's online media partnerships and performance. Mr. Bomar holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Tennessee, nothing wrong with that, and serves on the Customer Advisory Board of MarkMonitor, Inc., the Media Advisory Board of Travelocity, and the TravelCom Board of Advisors. Please join me in welcoming Dustin.
Thank you very much.
So you're already
Yeah, I think I'm mic'd up. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. As mentioned, Dustin Bomar, Vice President of Digital with Hilton. So it's Penn State Startup Week. What the hell is Hilton doing at Penn State Startup Week? Hilton was founded in 1916, a 99-year-old company. I would argue we're one of the oldest companies that will be here this week. I did see General Motors. They were founded in 1908, so they are actually a little older than we are. But why is Hilton at Startup Week? So I'll talk through a couple things today. I'll show you guys our pieces of our digital agenda for 2015. And we'll figure out if Hilton has any business being at something called Startup Week. But first, these are my kids, Sam and Emma. So I have twins, boy-girl twins. They're 1.5 years old. And these guys are amazing. It's my wife and I's only kids. We didn't have kids before them, had nephews and nieces. And I see these kids, and I see the things that we have to raise these kids, the technology that exists, and it's incredible. They have bears that talk, that know their names. They respond to cues on the TV. It is incredible. They respond to movement. If they don't get any attention for a little while, they'll ask for it. They'll say, "Hi, Sam, can I have a hug?" They do all these amazing things. There's a mat that lays under their crib mattress that if it senses any breathing stopped, the alarm goes off. And so it's, to protect against SIDS. There's this amazing sterilizer that you put all bottles in at night, or any of their things in at night, and it sterilizes everything. I mean, these are amazing technologies that did not exist years ago, even when my nephews and nieces were being born, and they're 7, 8 years old. Amazing things. And so I see these guys, and I think it won't be long before they're already telling me what shows they want to watch on TV. They get grumpy when it's not, Mickey Mouse Club or Peppa Pig or one of these things, but it won't be long before they have a preference in where we stay in a hotel. There will be things in a hotel that wow them, that they think are neat, even at a very basic level. There will be things there. And how will Hilton be? Will they care about Hilton? Is anyone in here a Hilton Honors member? And I have, wow, more than I was expecting. Not bad. Does anyone in here downloaded the Hilton Honors app? Very nice. Have you used the Honors app?
I do.
That's great to hear. Well, at least one in the room. It's not too bad. That's actually better than I was expecting. So it is a neat thing. But I think how does Hilton stay relevant? And again, I think I go back to my kids and I look at them and think, what kind of world are they being raised in? It's a much different world than I grew up in. And I think about at some point, they're a year and a half old, but at some point, it'll probably be here before I know it, they will be 16, they will want a car. Will they ever go to a gas station like I do all the time today? There is no chance they will go to a gas station. Will they even be driving their own car? Probably not. I mean, the GM guy earlier was talking about self-driving cars, said they're not far off. When there was on the news this morning, Morgan Stanley was talking about the convergence of some of these ride-sharing technologies, Uber and Lyft, with self-driving cars. Will they even own a car? Will there be a need to own a car? Will it be on demand? They get in, there's no driver. In fact, the news this morning was talking about real human drivers would be banned from the road because they are so much more dangerous than this car driving itself. And it's just an amazing world that my kids are growing up in. And I think about, again, what does Hilton, as this massive hotel company with 4,200 hotels, 30,000 employees, how do we possibly take this massive ecosystem of hotels and make it relevant, and make it innovative, and be nimble? And it's not a simple thing to do. Again, founded in 1918. Does anyone know when Penn State was founded? 1855. So Penn State is older than Hilton, but you get, again, you have this giant, this behemoth company, the largest hotel company in the world, with physical assets. It's not just a software that you roll out updates and it happens automatically. It's a massive hotel company with physical assets. 30,000 people that work for Hilton. How do you train these people? How do you keep things relevant? And I saw a stat recently that said in 10 years, 40% of the Fortune 500 companies will no longer exist. So there will be nearly half the companies in the Fortune 500 will have turned over in 10 years, which is an amazing thing. Hilton is in that list. So let's hope, I won't be working at Hilton if that happens. I will have been gone long before that. So when we think about how we change the culture at Hilton and how we innovate and how we do this, you have to have the right people. You have to have the right mindset. And this quote was given by the guy that runs McLaren Auto Racing, and I think it's just a fantastic quote. And he said, people like to be tested on a world-class stage in world-class conditions and ask themselves, are we good enough? And we have to have people that are willing to stand up to the biggest challenge that exists, a challenge that threatens our business, this massive $30 billion business. But if we don't stay innovative, if we don't keep evolving, we will disappear. There's nothing to say that we won't. Bigger companies than us have gone away. And we have to have the right people, the right mindset to do it. So again, I'm going to talk about some of the things that we are doing in our digital agenda this year, and certainly ask questions as we go. So these are some of our priorities this year, and I'll touch on each one of these, and I have a couple slides on a few of them. The first one, e-check-in, digital check-in. So what you can do now, and I did this last night, stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn, somewhere not too far from here. But you can, the day before, the day of your hotel stay, you can click check-in button, and you can go look at a floor plan of the hotel, and it'll say of the 40, there's 40 floors. It'll tell you the number of available rooms on each floor. Then you select the floor. You say I'm going to New York. I want floor 40. And you look at a floor plan of the hotel, and you can pick which room is open from the available rooms. And it's just like when you pick a seat on an airline. Most people wouldn't even consider getting on a flight if you couldn't pick the seat, and you're only on that flight for a couple of hours. Here you're staying for a day or multiple days, and you can pick your room. You can pick which one you want to stay in. And we're enhancing that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. The second thing that we are piloting right now and will be rolling out later this year is straight to room. So once you've picked your hotel room, the phone will open the door. The phone will open the elevator, will open the gym. It'll do everything for you. You don't have to go to the front desk at all, which creates a massive, 30,000 team members, the bulk of which are working at the front desk at a hotel. And we're asking them to do something different than the way they've been checking in guests for 20 years. And so it's not a simple thing to do. And to get there, you have to engage team members. We have to get everyone rallying around the same theme, around this I Heart Digital theme that we're rolling out, and get these guys, from a very simple way. You have to be very clear, very simple with, here's how we're going to evolve. Here's how we're going to stay relevant to new people. And they have created, this is something that these guys did on their own. They did these I Heart Digital buttons, which, I didn't even know that was a thing that people would do. But they have these I Heart Digital badges that all hotels are now creating. We've been creating them and sending them to people when they request them. And they're wearing them. We'll go in a hotel and they'll be wearing these I Heart Digital buttons, which is a fantastic thing. And it's all part of again, trying to change the culture at the front desk. We want people at the front desk, when you pick your room, you walk to the front desk, you tell them your name, they hand you a key. You don't have to give them an ID. You don't have to show a credit card or anything like that because we have all these things on file. And because you're asking them to do something different, it's a massive change. And we want these guys to deliver this perfect experience. And it's hard to do. And we measure it all the time. We know that less than half the time we do it wrong, or nearly half the time we do it wrong. And again, it's a new thing, and it's a massive undertaking for us to do it. But we're getting there. And it's nice to see team members getting involved, caring about it, doing it on their own without us having to say, you have to wear these buttons. That was not like a corporate mandate that went down to the front desk. Those typically don't go very well when we do things like that, but these guys did it themselves. And it's such a great thing to see. And this is actually, well, this is the hotel right next to our headquarters in McLean, Virginia. So they were probably a little more incentivized to wear it than the others, given their proximity to the CEO and some of these people. So a couple more of these things. I'm flipping through these pretty quick. Say you get on United, you book a coach class seat in United, you can pay to get an economy plus seat. You can pay to get a first class seat. Typically in a hotel, once you've made your reservation, you can't do that. So what we're doing now, we're looking at upgrades and saying, I bought a room for $200, for $30 more, I can get a better room. And we're testing that in a lot of different places. You know, a lot of these things are not huge technology breakthroughs or huge technology innovations, but they are using technology to solve a very practical problem that exists at hotels. And it's a better way of monetizing our room inventory than we've ever had before. And this is live today. Again, touching on a couple of these that I don't have slides for, you see the very bottom one with the champagne bottle. What you can do right now, if the hotel, most of our hotels, a lot of our hotels offer room service. You can, through the app, you can say, I'm arriving at 9 p.m. and when I get there, I'd like to have a hamburger and a beer waiting for me in my room. Or I'm arriving at 9 p.m. and I want extra pillows for some reason, have a bad back or something like that, and I want, I need toothpaste in there and a pack and play for my kids. So you can pull a menu of the things that the hotel offers, and they can be in your room when you get there. Through our Conrad is a brand of hotels that we have through our Conrad Concierge app. You can do anything that you can do in the hotel through the app. You can order room service. You can do, again, anything that you could typically do just by calling the front desk. You can do it all through the app. And again, we're trying to, you don't have to do that. You can go to the front desk. You can call the hotel. But more and more people are wanting to engage in this way, and so we're giving them the opportunity to do it. The point is giving the users the choice to be able to do these things. And one killer app is one of the items on there, and what this means is giving the users more information about their hotel. So I mentioned you can go in now and you can pick your hotel room, you can pick which floor you want to stay on. What we are doing now is we're improving the map, so you'll be able to see what the view is from it. We've partnered with Google in this, and you'll be able to say, I'm on the 40th floor, I'm in Hawaii, and they will calculate the altitude from where the hotel room is, and they'll show you the view from your room. And we have Google, they've gone out, Google are doing 2,000 of our hotels where they send the street view team, there'll be a guy with a backpack walking throughout the hotel. And you'll be able to go inside the lobby, you'll be able to go inside your hotel room and see exactly what that room looks like, the view from that room before you book it. And again, it's about giving users access to anything they want to know about the hotel. And then this last one, places near you, we have a partnership with Live Nation. And Live Nation obviously is a big event producer, does concerts, does a lot of different things. And through that partnership, we have exclusive access to a lot of different things. And we are, next week there's a Nick Jonas concert in the Hilton Anatole in Dallas. So very exciting. I get to go to that, which will be interesting. I'll be the oldest guy there by 10 years, easy. But this, again, is about making these strategic partnerships that give our guests access to any of the things that they want to do. And then just to touch on a couple other things, sites we love. So as mentioned earlier, part of my responsibility is doing the digital media relationships. So we have great partnership with Google. We have partnerships with Microsoft, with TripAdvisor. Any of these media sites that matter in travel, we have partnerships with. The second part of my job is the look and feel of the websites. So we want to have sites that we love and that we are proud of. A lot of times we would go and we would look at, here's an amazing site, Airbnb, what a fantastic site. Or Virgin Hotels. Virgin has launched hotels. They have a hotel open in Chicago. And we go look at that hotel and say, or their website, say, that's an amazing website. Why is ours not that good? Well, there's no reason ours is not that good. Ours can be that good. So that is, if you see our website and something that stinks, that is my responsibility and my fault. Or if you love it, that is mine as well. A couple other things. Honors Enrollments, our loyalty program, is evolving. Our loyalty program has always been a program for frequent business travelers, and now it's evolving to be more like a club. So there are benefits. If you're a leisure traveler, which a lot of leisure travelers stay twice a year, you will never have enough loyalty points for it to be something meaningful. And so we are evolving it to be more of a club-like program, so that once you are a member, there are immediate benefits, and there is a reason for a person that travels twice a year to be a member of this club. Personalized marketing on the bottom left. When I go to Hilton.com today, it treats me like a stranger. And I am a Hilton Diamond member. I stay 75 nights a year in a Hilton hotel. Typically the same hotels, whether I'm in Washington, D.C. or in Dallas or wherever it is. Why does it treat me like I'm a complete stranger? It should know these things about me. And so we are evolving. There are a lot of different cues that are available through digital technology that can tell our website who this person is that's coming, and all these different things that they have looked at previously that should help give them a more relevant experience. I mentioned e-check-in straight to room. Drive the channel like never before. So I mentioned we're a $30 billion company. About a quarter of that business is booked online. Only a quarter of that business is booked online. So 75% of the time, people are either calling the hotel, or they're driving up to the hotel, or they're booking it on Expedia. It's an amazing thing that much business is done not online. And so one of our goals is to grow how much business is booked through our websites or through our apps. So that is a focus for 2015 as well. And I mentioned upgrades, and that is it. Any questions?
So, because we were both in the talk by Jeff Almany. So all of these things are incredibly cool and useful. What about security?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
checking into the room and Ed's already there.
and that's a huge concern, and that happens. That has happened. We have a lot of steps to guard against that, but it's especially now while we're in the pilot phase of this, it's impossible to think that won't happen. And there have been instances where that happened, but we have a lot of people on our team that are working through the process to make sure that doesn't happen. We have our internal security experts that are checking everything to make sure that everything is safe. We have third-party security experts that are testing the system to make sure that it works as expected and you're not exposing yourself to too much risk.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking particularly about all the mobile apps, which are just exploding and creating all of these, sort of security vulnerabilities because of the way the data are transmitted.
Absolutely.
And so on. Yeah.
Yeah,
do you have specialists?
We do. We do.
Oh. Do you have kind of mobile app security specialists working with you?
We absolutely do. We have in our IT team, we have specialists that are 100% dedicated to security and making sure that the data that we have on customers, which is quite a bit of data, is secure and in an environment where no one can get access to it.
We do have some questions from everywhere, but we'll take the ones from the room first.
There's one up there.
Oh.
Carlene.
Hi. I wanted to know how you're handling honesty in your systems.
Honesty
in terms of the rooms, right? So if I can go online, and one of the services that I would get at the front desk is I could say, I'm very sensitive to noise, and they'd say, okay, you definitely don't want to stay in that room because it's noisy.
Yep.
Or I don't like the sun coming in the morning. And those kinds of negative pieces of information that help people make choices.
Sure. So there's two things. So number one, by having access to the floor plan of the hotel, to the view of the hotel, and to the, say, proximity to the freeway or something like that, you'll be able to decide for yourself which room makes sense. If you know that you don't want to be near the lobby, then fine. You pick a room away from the lobby. You don't want to be near the freeway, pick a room on the other side of the building away from the freeway. And the second thing is when people come to the front desk and ask that, we believe them. We simply trust them. If they say, I want to be away from the lobby. Why? I have no reason to believe you. It's not necessary. It doesn't necessarily mean that a room away from the lobby is a better room. There are people today all the time that one of the big preferences, people want to be away from the elevator. But I am the opposite. I want to be near the elevator so I don't have a half-mile walk down some hallway dragging my bags. And so in those two ways, by giving people the access and the ability to do it themselves, and then secondarily just making sure that, just believing them and saying, if you're saying you don't want a loud room, you're a light sleeper, then okay, we'll give you a room away from the noise.
So I'm assuming your biggest competitors are obviously Hyatt and Marriott. What are you doing from the digital standpoint and also the customer service face-to-face standpoint that you believe is differentiating yourself from those other two big competitors?
Sure. So I absolutely consider the Hyatts, Marriott, Holiday Inn, these guys are our competitors, as are people like Airbnb. Airbnb, any company that provides lodging is a competitor. And what we're doing by enabling people to pick their own room, to go straight to the room with their phone, it enables the guys at the front desk that are typically doing these administrative tasks of assigning rooms, printing keys, all these things. It enables them to get out from behind the desk and get back into the guest services business. And so I think that's a big thing. And the second thing we're doing is there's a lot of activity around, again, our loyalty program and what you can do, what you get as being a member of this loyalty program. And so there will be and there are benefits to being part of this program that a lot of our competitors may not have, especially you get into like an Airbnb and some of these guys. There are benefits. Someone once compared it to like the taxi companies versus Uber. The old hotels versus Airbnb, and I don't think that's the case. I think that taxi companies versus Uber is a different product. It is a much different product. When I ride in a cab, it's one type of experience versus what I get when I call an Uber. And the difference between us and that situation is we have a great product. We really do. It's not something that we have a product and there is something much better that's around the corner. I actually believe we have a very good product. And so that keeps us differentiated from some of the other startups that are out there. Not to say they're not fantastic companies. When you travel with kids, it is easy to get an Airbnb and have all the things that you need, the fridge and stove and all these things that you need when you travel with kids. But again, for us, it's about getting back in the business of guest services, getting the people that are on property out of doing these administrative tasks, and then making sure that we continue to have a fantastic product.
Right, since we're on a roll with Airbnb, they did disrupt the industry, right?
Sure.
They have more. They were appraised, I believe, to have more value than all of the Hilton Corporation combined. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and you're talking a little bit about personalization, but I guess like my thing would be that you still somewhat get a cookie cutter experience, like in hotels. You're still gonna.
Sure.
And that's part of the brand, right? Is that you're gonna like get a Hilton
it's
hotel
going to
no
be at
matter what.
least a certain level, and a lot of. Absolutely, I think it's a great point. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you finish.
No, I was just going to ask. In terms of branding in the future, like, are you going to try to add a different level of uniqueness? Obviously, this is doing a really good job, like in terms of marketing to bridge that gap in like customer service.
Yep.
But in terms of making the experiences more unique in the hotel industry.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question, a great point. For a long time, even when I first started at Hilton, I've been there 5 years. The selling point of one of our brands was it's consistent. It is consistent. Every time you stay at a Hilton Garden Inn, it's going to be the same experience as the next one, And that's not what people want anymore. People want that unique experience. People want to be in a hotel that gets them in touch with whatever city they are in, even when you're traveling for business. When I stayed at the place, the Hilton Garden Inn last night, I would have liked to, if I hadn't gotten in so late, I would have liked to have gotten to see the city a little bit more. For the one night that I was here, it would have been nice to see that. And I think people more and more want that. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, is saying we have all these things available to guests. Let them decide how they want their stay to be. So absolutely, we are trying to make it where it's a unique experience based on the market and the product. And it's tough. We have, to your point about valuation, we have physical assets. We have massive buildings in one of the main parts of New York. We have real physical assets. And companies like Airbnb, companies like PricelineBooking.com, they have no physical assets in terms of real estate, and they are valued at more than we are. So it's an absolutely valid point. And so we are working to make sure, back to your question, we are working to make sure that it is a unique experience. And it is tough when you have this many physical assets. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of the, being a franchise organization, one of the tough things is for a while when we were transitioning from big back TVs to flat panel TVs, and it was hard to get hotel owners to do that. And some hotel owners, it was tough to get to do that. And the reason being, I say you have to spend $10,000 to replace all your TVs with these more modern TVs. And the hotel owner's response to me is, well, am I going to get a higher price for doing that? Am I going to be able to charge more for doing that? And the answer is no, you will not. But the kind of thing you have to do to keep the product current and keep the product good. And so getting people, and us, even Hilton owns hotels, investing in our physical assets. You have to look at the trade-off between how much is that taking from the bottom line. How much do you have to do? You have to do a certain amount to keep the hotel modern, nice, relevant. But it is, in many cases, it is straight shot out of the bottom line.
Sorry.
I have a question. In the future, do you think Hilton wants to get rid of desk check-in, the front desk check-in completely, or still give the customer that option if they want to go straight to the room or get that experience of the front desk?
For the foreseeable future, we will have, if you want to go to the front desk, that option will be there. I think we're a long way from even everybody having a phone that's modern enough to open these type of doors. Even though it works on any kind of iOS or Android or Windows phone even, there are plenty of folks, my parents, that have old flip phones that don't do anything. And so for the foreseeable future, guests will have the option to go to the front desk. If they want to call room service when they get there, they're welcome to do so.
Okay. I don't think. So do you think, have you heard of the HoloLens that came out recently?
I don't think so.
By Microsoft? Okay. Well, I was just thinking it'd be kind of cool if a customer can put the glasses on and actually experience being in the room. So,
yeah, and Facebook has a company they own that does something similar. That is a very cool thing. It gets guests. We have actually tested with the Facebook product, and it's Marriott's done a lot of really neat things with it as well. Oculus, I think is what it's called, and it's it's a really cool thing for sure.
Yeah, I used to major in hospitality actually here. So
Used to major in hospitality.
Yeah, now I major in IT, but yeah, both are good. Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a random thought, but as they generally are. So I guess right now what you're talking about is when guests come to the hotel, kind of giving them resources so that they can go out of the hotel. But maybe, is there anything maybe to sort of conversely bring locals into the hotel, meaning maybe have people sort of act as concierge or something, part-time, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, so we're doing some of that today through social media, where we have a team of people in each of these markets that is kind of that serves as the local guide. If I'm in State College and I want to go have a pizza and a beer, where could I go? Was the guy at the front desk going to tell me to go to the Pizza Hut down the street, or is there a local place that would be better for me to go to that would help me get a little bit of the experience? So we are doing some of that in social media. And also, one of our brands that just launched, we launched a brand called Canopy, and their entire thing is they want to be, they're having local beers, local craft beers, they're having local food brought in, local restaurants are catering breakfast for them. So it's not the cookie cutter experience. You are actually getting to experience the destination where you are. Yeah, I mean I think that's a big trend in a lot of different verticals, and it's certainly an important piece of what we're doing.
All right. Okay, so we have a few questions from Poll Everywhere, so I'll kind of rattle them off to you, and if in between anybody comes up with another question in the room, feel free to raise your hand, and you can see clearly, right, if somebody's raising their hand?
I think so.
Okay, so just raise your hand, and we'll kind of go back and forth if anybody in the room finds that they have questions. All right, so the first one we have is, how did you get all of these partnerships with big-name companies such as Google and Microsoft, and are they exclusive for Hilton?
So that's a big question. It really just depends on the partnership. We have, as I said, we have a great partnership with Google, doing a lot of neat, innovative things with them. We are also good advertising partners with Google. And so we spend quite a bit of money with them in terms of advertising, driving customers to our sites. And the same for Microsoft. Our partnership goes across a lot of different spectrums. It's a media partnership, there's a technology partnership. That's a big question. I don't have a great answer. It's really unique to each partnership. And are they exclusive to Hilton? That I would say is also really unique to each of the, not even the partnership, each of the products that we're testing with some of these guys.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. I'll go on to the next one. How are you advertising these digital services to customers?
So we're doing it a couple different ways. We are, for our loyalty guests, we have our loyalty members, we have a lot of communications that go out and say, this is what's available now. If you have a reservation with us, you get an email reminder saying your check-in is now open, you can go pick your room. If you want to have a hamburger there or something there when you get there, you can go do that now. We also have things on travel websites that promote this type of thing. So if you're on TripAdvisor, if you're on even CNN.com, a lot of things that we have, a lot of our digital advertising speaks to the fact that you can do all these things now. And very soon you'll start seeing some of this on our TV advertising as well. It says, here's the capabilities that exist at our hotels.
All right, where is the next one? Okay. Oh, did you base these service ideas off of airline models?
We did. We actually based it off guest recommendations. And so we talked to guests and survey guests and said, is this something that is meaningful to you? Does this matter to you? So it wasn't necessarily based off the airline model, but the airlines have a good model of giving people choice and control. I have the ability to go in and pick any of the available seats that I want to stay in. I can, if I want to upgrade for $1,000, then so be it. I can do that. But for us, it was about making sure that it's something that our guests are interested in.
Sorry, there's another
There's one.
session.
We have one up here as well.
Oh, you do? Okay. I was going to say there's another session happening, so I'm getting like your questions and theirs, so it's hard to go in between them. So
I can try one of theirs.
yeah, that's perfect. Then I can
give you a random one for the other session. It's about trademarks.
Oh, don't know about that.
You know about trademarks. That I heart.
Sure.
Hi. I have a question. Well, I have two questions. My first one's related to costs. So this whole, I understand that one of the motivations behind this is keeping relevant, but do you see any big cost savings through any of these compared to your current business processes?
Maybe at some point down the road, but I will say we, over the past, prior to being a public company, Hilton has invested over $500 million in IT infrastructure to make some of these things possible. It would take a lot of cost savings to offset that investment. So it wasn't done with the cost savings in mind. It was more done with let's have this capability for our guests. If it gets down the road, obviously, and we have at the Hilton New York, there are 40 people that work the front desk. If all of a sudden there are no lines because people are doing it themselves, then we would look at what's the right way to staff the hotel. Do we need to shift these people to doing other things?
Right. Okay. I have one more question too. Second question is, you were talking earlier about ways to upsell and ways to address sort of the customer's transactions throughout their stay at the hotel. Have you thought at all about giving them the opportunity through the application to pay for meals within the restaurant? I don't know if Hilton hotels have restaurants inside that are owned by Hilton or they're
yeah,
not.
We yep. Yeah, so that is part of our roadmap, I suppose, is making sure that you can pay for it all through the app. You can do all these things. We have some things we're working on with some digital payment partners that are coming, and we're also talking about should you be if I want to buy a beer and I have 100,000 honors points, can I give 100 honors points and buy a beer?
Right.
So there's a lot of different things that we are thinking about right now.
One more thing related to that. So I'm very interested in sort of the conversation right now about tipping in our society and kind of not concierge, but bellhops and everything like that come to your room. Is there any opportunity with the application to be able to tip them through the app as opposed to sort of that awkward kind of you got to give them $5?
So a short answer is yes, there is. They're part of our roadmap is to make the payment process as easy as possible, and the tipping thing as well, to try to figure that out so it's not an awkward an awkward situation. Our brand Canopy that's launching, that's not only is it a no tipping policy, it's not allowed. The people will not accept it, and so they try to make that as not awkward as possible as well, so that it's not you trying to force money on this person. So yeah, we are trying to work on that, and more people, especially you think about the bellhops. When we talk to guests, they say, "I don't need help with my bag. I'm dragging it behind me. I don't need you to drag it behind me." And so more and more we're looking at, is this still relevant in today's travel?
All right, thanks a lot.
Sure. I don't mean is the bellhop still relevant. I mean is the service he does today, is you need to be waiting by the car to help you roll your bags in.
Hi. So a lot of these new features that you're developing for your hotels change some of the basics, some of the things that you immediately associate with a hotel. And I'm sure that has a lot of impact on the staffing.
Sure.
What are some of the things that you do to retrain the staff, and what kind of cultural changes do you expect?
Yeah, it's been a massive retraining of the staff. Again, you're asking people to check people into the hotel differently than they've checked people in for 20 years. And so we do it a couple different ways. We have regular training. We have contests where we monitor on a weekly basis how people are doing with the digital check-in experience. Again, you shouldn't have to show ID. You shouldn't have to show credit card. When you get to the front desk, you should just say your name and they hand you your room key that's ready to go. But nearly half the time it doesn't happen properly. And we know hotel by hotel how that's working. And we do things to incentivize people at the front desk to retrain their staff and to make sure that they're handling it properly. And it's not a simple thing. It is a very complex thing. But we have entire front desk support teams. We have entire brands that are getting on board with trying to incentivize people at the front desk to do it this new way.
Go ahead. I was going to say, whenever everyone's done, we still have questions from
Hi. So I think hotel hospitality is a very traditional people-centered industry, and now everything is going digital, and you're emphasizing a lot about how to virtually show people the whole experience. So how do the digital teams still collaborate with the traditional side of the industry? How do you still ensure the quality of the actual experience?
Yeah, no, it's an evolving transition, I guess. We have a digital group, and I sit on a floor with the digital people, and there's also traditional marketing folks. There's people that look after the front desk that are there as well. But we try to make it where it's not digital versus everybody else. We try to do it where because our stuff only matters if the people that are at the front desk that are executing these things do it properly. That's the only way any of this digital stuff matters. And so it is an evolution for how we work together. More and more things are becoming, everything is becoming very connected. You look at the way people interact with their televisions today, the way that people do, even the way that people buy media today. You look at how people buy offline media. It's more and more becoming much more similar to digital. And it used to be you focus on print, you focus on television, you focus online. And now we know that all these things are very interconnected, and that if I buy a big TV, if I run a big TV spot, and get in front of a lot of people, searches for our brand will spike. And so we need to have all these groups communicating to each other. And so the silos of you look after this, you do this, really don't exist anymore. And for Hilton being such a massive organization, it takes a lot of work to keep them integrated, and you have to force it for a little while. But once you do that enough, and you start to get some chemistry between the groups, and you start being able to work together a little better.
All right. Okay, so I found 3 that were amongst the other ones. Okay, so the first one was your team charged with creating these innovative ideas?
So I think really the ideas have come from a lot of different places. My team does not necessarily have the charge of creating the innovative ideas. My team looks after how they are executed, and how, is the look and feel good? Is it a good user interaction? Is it a good user flow? But the ideas have come from a lot of different places. There is a team that looks after these digital products, but again, ideas have come from guests. They have come from people on my team. They have come from people a lot of ideas come from people at the front desk. Say, this is a common thing that happens. It would be nice if we had a way of, this is the question that guests always ask me. How can we get that information to them better so they don't have to waste their time, they don't have to waste my time coming and asking me this question that is a simple question or that has a simple answer. So really ideas have come from everywhere.
Are all of the amenities you spoke about today only available for honors members?
Right now they are, yeah. It is one of the reasons to join Hilton Honors, is that you get access to picking your room, you get access to checking in early, to sending yourself food so that it's there when you get there, and ultimately straight to room. It is for honors members. And it's free to join honors, so there's no, it's not like it's $1,000 to join, so it is a simple thing to join and get all these things.
All right. And then the last one I see on here is, how long did it take to implement all of these digital changes?
A long time. I mentioned before we were a public company, we invested hundreds of millions of dollars in IT infrastructure. And that was the biggest piece, is to get the back end in a spot that it could be nimble, it could be flexible enough to work with 4,200 hotels around the world operating in different languages to be able to deliver this at scale. It only matters if you do it at scale. If I'm going to this Hilton and I know this Hilton has e-check-in or whatever it is, I can pick my room at this Hilton, but it doesn't happen in any of the other hotels we have, then it doesn't matter. It has to be able to be done at scale. So it's taken a long time. It's something that was being worked on even before I was at Hilton.
Are there any more questions in the audience?
Since Hilton is a global company, could you talk a little bit about the international issues that you might run into? I did an internship at Boeing, and I found that when I was there, it was interesting to kind of see the challenges that come with branching out
Sure.
of the U.S. and the types of restrictions and things like that you need to place on technology,
Yep.
whether it's security or privacy or things like that.
Yeah, it is. That's a great question. It is challenging when you get to all the different countries. They have different rules and regulations. Beyond just the language difference and the currency difference, there are a lot of different rules and regulations. Taxes is a big one. How you retail your hotel. Do you include taxes? Do you not include taxes? It differs country by country. So I mentioned when you check into a hotel, you don't have to show your ID. You don't have to show your credit card. There are countries where you still have to show these things by law. You have to show your registration card, you have to show your passport or whatever it is in some of these countries. So it is unique to each country how it scales out. So it's not something that we do it once, do it to U.S. standards and push it out everywhere. It is absolutely unique to the location of the hotel.
All right. Any more questions?
So we have a lot of students and faculty as well interested in data analytics in this college, and I'm wondering, it's probably not your group, but you might know something about some. And I'm not asking you to reveal anything, but for example, mining, trip. The sort of reviews that are given, that's one thing more for the operations side. But from the perspective of marketing, I was thinking, like discovering through mining that there are this number of weddings being planned, and you have facilities for it, and the kind of obvious stuff like that. Are you also involved in that, or is Hilton involved in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a massive data analytics group at Hilton, and that feeds into I look after digital marketing at Hilton. That feeds into what we do all over the place. I can know if you just shopped for booking on Expedia, you shopped on Expedia for a hotel in New York and you didn't book it, and I come across you on CNN, I can show you an ad for a hotel in New York. There are all these different cues that are available online that can be picked up and can be passed in to make our ad more relevant, more meaningful to that person. And then even outside of the advertising space, Hilton has a massive amount of customer data that can, if presented and done the right way, can be very useful to a customer. One of the examples that was given is there is a Hilton in London that has a unique wine collection, and this gentleman had this wine at this hotel, and he really preferred this one bottle of wine. They happen to also have that wine at the Waldorf Astoria in China. And so the waiter, you can present the information in such a way that the waiter immediately knows this guy loves this wine. We also have that wine. It's not a very common wine, I suppose. And you can marry the two things. And it's not a simple thing to do given how complex it is. And the hardest part is not knowing these things. These things are all available there. It's presenting it in the right, useful, in a meaningful way to the person that can act on it. So it's not, I would say the possibilities are really limitless when you think about all the different data that we have. I know if when I travel, it's 2 adults and 2 kids. What I'm going to need in a room and what I'm going to want to do when I get there is probably different than if it's one guy coming by himself and he's there on a Thursday night.
On that, do you envision a time? So you're focused a lot on me being able to order, food in advance. Do you think that the business of hotels and so on will also extend to provide surprise? We happen to know it's your anniversary or your birthday or your something.
And we do that a little bit today. We have this great program called Hilton Suggests, and it basically mines social media for people that we can recognize and that we can tell are staying at our hotel and that they have said, it's my anniversary or it's something like that, and we can try to surprise and delight the guest by knowing this information.
I actually have a question. Have you ever run across when you had an idea for one of these things to implement, and someone, I don't know what the structure is like at Hilton, and someone said, no, you can't?
Sure. I mean, that happens for a lot of different reasons. It could be a security issue, it could be a privacy issue, or it could simply be a bandwidth issue. We have resources and technology to do this much, and this simply falls out of that priority list. I mean, that certainly happens.
Are there any more questions in the audience? All right. If not, we have one final question that we've been asking all of our speakers, so I'll go ahead and ask that now. And if anybody comes up with a question after, feel free to raise your hand. Okay. Could you share with us what you believe the next big thing or the next wave will be in your industry?
In my industry, wow. I think it's probably not exclusive to my industry. I think more and more connectivity is changing the way that people live. The GM guy talked about, when you're in proximity of your car can turn on, it can do all these things just because you're near that. I mean, we have the technology. Technology exists to say, Dustin is getting close to the hotel. He's landed. He is now within 5 miles of the hotel. Let's get his room key. Let's get his things ready for him. And I think the connectivity is just a huge thing. I mean, we talked about how you pay at a restaurant, at the bar, or anywhere on a hotel. The fact that you may be wearing your Apple Watch that knows this is Dustin, he's staying in room 510. Let's treat this transaction a certain way based on the way Dustin or this guest in room 510 stays. So I think connectivity will absolutely change everything. And we talk about, well, I can't get into too much, but there are a lot of unique things that are coming that the fact that everything in the room can be controlled digitally or will be able to be controlled digitally. I mean, once you've picked your room, you can do anything you want with it at that point. You can do a lot of things with it because you have access to.
All right. Well, anyone else? All right. If not, then I think that's all. And thank you so much.
Thank you.